Welcome to the Positively You podcast. I'm your host, Jessie Larson, and I'm passionate about helping you shift the way you think so you can create a life you're absolutely obsessed with. Each week, I'll be bringing you a guest or a thought that's going to help you feel more optimistic and equipped to take real action. Get ready to push past limiting beliefs, ditch that negativity, and start showing up as the best and most positive version of you. Girl, let's do this. Hey friends, and welcome back. This is actually a part 2 of a 2-part podcast episode. So if you have not listened to part 1 yet, we dived deep into the art of embracing pleasure, cultivating joy, ditching burnout, finding fulfillment, and it was an absolutely incredible conversation. We split it into 2 because we had so much to talk about, and this is part 2. So if you haven't listened to the first one yet, I highly recommend you go back so you don't miss the foundation we've built leading up to the conversation we're having in part 2. So push pause. Go listen to part 1 if you haven't yet. If you have and you're here for part 2, welcome, welcome. Let's jump right in. So I want to go and narrow this down way more because from, an abstract view and thinking about this, it sounds all great. Sounds sunshine, roses. Yeah, of course, everyone's going to be happy and vibrating higher and in this vibration of joy and pleasure. But how do I actually step into that? How do I actually show up each day in this, right? Because it's easy to listen to this podcast and, we're driving in our car, listening and being like, yeah, preach it, Emily. Yeah, Jess. But then turn it off, park the car, and we're back in real life. How do we actually step in and embody that? Or are there practices that you have in your daily life that kind of help anchor you back into that?
Such a good question. Yeah, let's ground this. Let's make this tangible. There are actually 3 things that are coming to mind for me that might be supportive to listeners, that are tools I use with myself periodically and with my clients. So the first thing I would say to do is I would like to call it a boundary audit. And so it's simply, if you consciously already know who's crossing boundaries with you, great. That gets to be a place where you start reclaiming your time and energy by having that courageous conversation. I think that's step 1. But it's also, some people are unclear, boundary violation. Oh, it must mean they're being really rude or really, whatever. But often it's just very subtle. So I often like to ask my clients as well, okay, who do you feel a little bit resentful towards? Or who, when they text you or call you, or you think about going to see them, do you feel a little claustrophobic or a little and
those are good clues.
Those are good ones, right? And then starting to identify how you can have that courageous conversation. And boundaries often get this bad rap of being very serious and harsh and this electric fence. But I always like to say it really is teaching people how to get the best version of you. And so it's stating not you're doing this wrong, but it's more look, it's more stating the desired behavior or outcome. Right. Instead of just, you shouldn't be doing that. You're crossing a boundary with me, which is not going to be the best conversation. So it's really look, this is how I'm feeling. And this is the desired, conversation or commitment or behavior moving forward. So it's not leaving people in the dark. It's this is what would feel good for me and for this relationship. So that's the first thing I would say is a boundary audit. Okay. And then the second thing I I did some boundary auditing last week and took some action on that one.
Good. Yeah. No, I love that. That's something I've never heard it put that way, a boundary audit, but I think that is something to definitely just every now and then just check what's creeping in, what have I kind of lowered and let just ooze into my life that's really sucking energy from me. I think that is a gold mine of a tip. So what's number 2?
Oh, thank you. Well, and I had done it last week because I had noticed there was a connection in my life for exactly that. Whenever I would get the text, I would feel my body collapsing and I would feel this energy of wanting to avoid them. And I was just Emily, we get to have that conversation. And I had the conversation. It can be uncomfortable sometimes, but ultimately we're going to prevent that ongoing energy,
Right.
funkiness, resentment, avoidance, loop. And then the second one is another audit. I like to call it an energy audit. So this is, I think, especially supportive if you're a busy mom or if you're in a 9 to 5 and you have a lot of obligations you're juggling. It's literally just going in and what adds to my energy throughout the day, week, month, even year, and what detracts from my energy throughout the day, week, month, year. And then the
Ooh.
third thing you get to ask yourself is, what choices do I have to start increasing the presence of the things that add energy in my life?
Say
Cause
that
more of
again
that.
really quick, because that is such a huge question. What choices do I have? Holy cow. Just, I'm going to like out myself right here. How often do I slip into victim mode and think that I have absolutely no choices when I really do? So that question alone, what choices do I have? That could be the whole thing.
Yes, girl. Yes. Taylor, what choices, like seeing
Yes.
tangibly, writing it down.
Mm,
This makes me feel amazing. This makes me feel joy. This makes me feel alive. What choices do I have to create more of it, to cause more of it in my life? And then for the things you've identified that are really draining your energy, what choices do I have to decrease the presence of that in my life or even eliminate it completely?
absolutely. Love it. Love, love, love.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. I have choice. I have a choose tattooed in my arm to always remind myself of the choices I have,
Yes.
because victimhood is used to be like my favorite place to live. I was like, I have no choice in this and it's your
It's
fault.
so
And
easy to drop into victimhood. I think like, ooh, just like it's a direct path there. There's no barriers. We can just fall right into it. So I think a
hmm
lot of us can probably identify with that. But yes, wow. And I love that you have that tattooed there because we always, always, always have a choice.
Yes, yes, yes. If for anyone listening, if you take anything
Yeah.
away, right, it's that you always have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need, we get to receive a little bit of support from a friend or a coach or a partner or whoever it is to really remind us of the choice available to us in each moment. And then the last one is the most terrible, awful assignment I've ever given my clients.
Oh no.
I'm kidding. It's called Project Joy.
It does not sound terrible.
Yeah, it's so this is often something I do with really, either more clinically burnt out clients or clients with that more soul burnout. And so Project Joy, some people call it Project Turn On, just whatever the flavor they're feeling,
Okay.
is you begin by making a list of 20 things that really light you up, turn you on, make you feel pleasure, joy, presence. And this is interesting because often my clients are like, wait, 20?
Right.
20?
It
I
can
have
feel
like
like a
three.
lot.
Yeah. So it's this interesting experiment of really challenging yourself to really look for and harvest those little moments of pleasure and joy and presence throughout the week.
Mm.
And even if you're not clear in what the 20 might be, that's the point. Like, make a hypothesis, make an educated guess. Like, I think I might really like this. I used
Mm.
to really like doing this when I was younger, when I had more time. Let me add it to the list. And then, so the actual Project Joy is for 7 days. You do 2 to 3 things on the list for 7 days. So it's just
Okay.
like a major pattern interrupt from going from the productivity and the shoulds and the Netflixing, which is I love, but it's like actually interrupting that pattern of just kind of, yeah, this is fine, to
Yeah.
really
The
almost
autopilot pattern.
overwhelming autopilot. That's the word I was looking for. It's
Yep.
almost overwhelming your system with joy and just in experimenting and playing. And so if
Mm.
you're, one of those women that are like, well, I don't think I have 20, like part of this process is engaging in one of the activities you put on your list and then you can rank it. It can be this like detective mission. They're like, okay, how did that on a scale of 1 to 10?
How did
how
that
did that
feel? Did I love it? Did
how
I
did that
not?
feel?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. One of my clients, I think when we first started, she's like, I have 4 things I like doing. And after she had identified so many things that she loved doing that she still does, like she allowed herself to start doing puzzles again, something she hadn't done since
Mm.
she was a kid. She allowed herself to actually she go buy a puppy, and now her whole life has changed because then
Yeah.
getting the puppy reminded her she actually really loved nature and she'd been in a city. So she started to have this whole thing unraveled, and she like moved to the woods and has a house now, has a dog, goes on walks every day, does puzzles at night. It was just this
Yes.
little project. This all happened over a year, by the way. It wasn't overnight,
Right. It wasn't like a
but
weekend thing.
yeah, no, but it began with that assignment, and she always talks about it. She's like, that was so pivotal. So those are my three, like, groundingness,
Okay.
what I would say for next steps. The
I
boundary audit, the
absolutely
boundary
love
audit,
those.
project joy.
Project Joy. I love the Project Joy so much because I'm even thinking, if you're someone who's identifying with, the person that's like 20, what? You want me to come up with 20? I remember years ago being asked something like that, like, tell me something interesting about yourself or what you like to do. And I was like, I don't know what I like to do,
Mm.
like, so even if you're like, okay, I'm glad that lady had 4 because I have none. But it's a beautiful practice to open up and just explore. Because like you said, she got a puppy and then remembered, oh, I like going outdoors. And then remembered, like, what a beautiful little like stepping stone journey that you can go on. And so I'm so grateful that you shared that tip as the third one after, kind of taking the audits of your life. But giving yourself that freedom to explore. What a gift to give yourself.
Yeah, and it's really a journey, and to me, self-knowledge,
Yeah.
self-awareness of really just understanding what are your unique codes for feeling joy, because it looks
Mm,
different for everyone. And I think often we fall into, well, this is what they want to do, and this is their definition of having fun, but maybe you don't really actually like it. Or maybe it's something you've outgrown. Like, for example, I used to find it to be really fun to go to a bar. And then
yeah.
actually, that's my definition of hell now. so,
Right.
so when I say yes to that, now it's not, that would not qualify for me as doing something pleasurable, right? That would
Hmm.
just be like, this is what they want to do. And that doesn't mean we never do things for other people. It just means we're really aware of what's adding to our energy and what's taking away from our energy. And I think with the Project Joy too, something to keep in mind is it doesn't have to be big, grandiose things. It can be little
Yes.
moments. Like for me, something that just brings me so much pleasure and presence. Because that's the thing about pleasure. It's a sensory experience often. It's your sense of taste or sound or
Yep.
smell. And so I have this incense that I'm absolutely obsessed with that I bring with me everywhere I go. It smells like vanilla. And so
Mm.
I'm always burning that. Or I love cacao, and I love mixing different herbs into my cacao. And so to me, that's just this decadent treat that's actually so good for me every day, no matter where I
Yeah.
am. Like at the airport, they're opening my suitcase. Like, why do you have this whisk, this electronic whisk thing, and all these powders? But I'm like, this is part of my pleasure. This is part of my joy. My cup of cacao. So it can be
Yes.
little things. Doesn't
I
have to
love
be big.
that because we can think that it's these big, grandiose things, right? That are these fun experiences and things that we do. But yeah, like one of my favorite things is I love looking at the stars. And I
Yeah.
remember I went out one night and I looked up at the sky and I was like, when was the last time I just sat here and got to
Yeah.
look at the stars? And this summer, I've actually prioritized that a lot more, where I'll go out either after the sauna or I'll just go out and invite one of my kids with me to lay on the trampoline, which I loved doing as a kid when I was younger, and just staring. And so it can be these little tiny things, but like that might sound so silly. Like I had 10 minutes before I came inside, before I started getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, right? To look at the stars. But I cannot emphasize like the joy and the pleasure that did bring into my life of just sitting. So it really can be so simple. Like, do not
Yes.
complicate the joy project.
Yes, and it can be free and it can
Mm,
be easy because yes, sometimes women are like, well, I like massages and I like new shoes, and great. But we're
right.
gonna go broke if we're doing
Yeah.
and I would challenge you, if everything on your list involves spending a lot of money, that's actually a piece of information too, right? It's
Mm,
like,
hmm.
why is that? And what am I
Yes.
missing? What are these juicy, beautiful moments that are available to me
We're
right here
opening the
right
door
now?
to so much curiosity today.
Yeah. And like in that moment when you're going and laying under the stars, the habit in our brain might be, well, let's just lay here and scroll Instagram instead. So sometimes It's just like catching yourself and making that, again, the different choice. And I catch myself all the time. This phone addiction we all are struggling with. I'll
Mm-hmm.
catch myself grabbing the phone, and then I'm like, nope, we're putting that down. Put it down. Wait, nope. Let's do something else. What would feel really beautiful right now? What would feel really like, okay, let's go outside. Let's go for a walk. Let's turn on some music. Let's
Yep.
light some incense. Let's write. Oh, let's read a book by the fire if it's the winter, It's just,
Mm-hmm.
what else?
Just the
What else?
little,
What else but the
yes.
phone?
Oh,
Yeah. That's what life's about. I mean, really, it truly is. And we forget because we're always running towards the next mountaintop, the next achievement, which is beautiful. It's human nature. We need our goals and
yes.
dreams and aspirations. But I'm a big believer, if we cannot enjoy the journey, the climb to the top of the mountain, we're not going to enjoy the mountaintop. Because then
No.
we're going to get to the mountaintop. We're like, this isn't enough. I need the next thing. What's the next thing I can
You'll
achieve?
be
So,
standing on the mountaintop looking at another peak and saying, how do I get to that one? That peak looks better, right? Instead of
yeah.
acknowledging the climb. I love that so much. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with accomplishments. I'm always shooting for new goals. I love seeing what I can do and the accomplishments I can make. But it is a balance, I think, of the two, of really having so much fun and so much enjoyment in your life that those goals are kind of just an addition to it and not the only thing.
Yes, I love how you just said that. It's really just like the goals are the cherry on top energy.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I enjoyed the process and the woman I'm becoming and all that I've learned on this journey to this mountaintop or this goal or this milestone. You reach it, it's just cherry on top energy. This is great, but I already feel freaking amazing. And I'm already
Yes.
loving my life, and everything that comes in those mountaintop moments is just the whipped cream.
Yeah, it's just extra, extra, extra. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Emily, I've loved this conversation with you so much. I'm like vibing so high. I just want to go out and have the best day ever. Before I let you go, though, I want to make sure that everyone knows how they can come and find you, because I'm sure they're like, okay, show notes, where's the link? There's a couple different places I think we can find you over on Instagram. That's how me and you got connected, which I'll link below. But anything else that you've got going on or offers that you want to share with everyone listening?
Oh, thank you for opening the space to that. Yeah, come if you enjoyed this conversation, come hang out with me on Instagram, send me a message, let me know your takeaways. And I do one-off sessions if you're ever interested in going deeper
Mm.
into burnout prevention, recovery, activating your pleasure and joy and aliveness. And yeah, all the goods are on Instagram. They're all linked on Instagram. Come hang out with me there.
Okay, perfect. I made it easy for you guys. Just scroll down. There's a little link for you. Hit that. And Emily, thank you so, so, so much.
My pleasure. I loved this conversation.
Thank you for hanging out with me again today. I'm so glad you pressed play. If you want to take a quick second to share this episode with someone you think would love it too, that would be amazing. If you're loving the show, make sure you go and leave a review on iTunes. Reviews are like magic for podcasts, and your review will help get this show into the ears of more amazing women just like you. And come find me over on Instagram. I'm there at positively.jessie, and I cannot wait to hang out with you some more. So until next time, have an amazing week.